opposite.
Well, you'll be putting. It's just like quitting anything.
Catholic priest syndrome, same thing.
Like quitting, quitting smoking. You're putting the energy toward
exactly
what is that you don't want to do. So if you're sitting there trying to white knuckle it, going, "I'm not going to have sex," then you'll just. That's not very yogic.
Exactly. Exactly.
But that it's a natural byproduct.
Yeah. It's a byproduct of the practice. The practice is the other 6 limbs. So the first is asana, which is the posture. Right? You go into a class, the teacher says, step out to the right, put your right arm down, your left arm up. Mm-hmm. Asana. Second is pranayama, which is breath control or breath manipulation. Okay. If you are aware of your breath and trying to make it smooth and even, that's enough.
Are you a teacher?
Yes. Yeah, I teach yoga.
Where?
I teach at the Yoga Center in Minneapolis. I teach Ashtanga, and I teach some beginning classes. And I love teaching. I teach philosophy to the teacher training, in the teacher training program.
What's Ashtanga? Ashtanga
is too much to talk about right now, so you can just kill it. But Ashtanga is the 8 limbs. Ashta is 8. Anga is limbs.
Okay.
Originally, Ashtanga yoga existed way before what we practice as Ashtanga. Ashtanga is like a marketing thing, kind of. I'll probably get killed for saying that, but there's a guy named Pattabhi Jois who in the late 20s brought this practice of yoga to America, very gymnastic, very hard. Well, most of the yoga that you see, the vinyasa, the flowy stuff that's got the gymnastic, smooth moves, they came from a guy named Pattabhi Jois who brought Ashtanga yoga to America. We liked it because it was, wicked, very, very, very difficult and physically challenging. But he originally intended the practice to be done under the supervision of a guru in accord with all of the teachings of the Sahastras, which are the ancient texts. Mm-hmm. And we don't do that too much in America. We want to go out, we get our exercise, work it out, and come back.
Kind of a quick fix. Not so devoted.
Not so. Well, the irony is that that's how we approach it.
Yeah.
But yoga's been said. They say the Hindus or adherents to yoga would say that it's a self-actualizing practice. So what happens is that it occurs despite whatever the mind is doing. You get more spiritual. You become more. You achieve more union with yourself without having to think about it. So you find your posture. You find your breath. Then you practice something called pratyahara, which is to withdraw your senses to that which you're doing. Pratyahara, if you can't withdraw your mind from like the girl down, three people down who has a nice booty, then you're not practicing, you're probably not breathing, right? Do you understand that?
Well, you're not focused on your breath, that's for sure.
Exactly. And the breath, to be able to practice pranayama, which is breath control, you have to be focusing on it, right? So you're checking out the girl, you're not practicing it. You have to go back to the breath. The breath directs you back towards yourself. The act of drawing back to yourself reduces the amount of sensory awareness you have on other things. So, asana, the posture, pranayama, the breath, of sense, and then dharana, which is concentration. Dharana means to concentrate. And so, when a teacher says, gaze at your hand, the teacher, that you think that's what you're supposed to do with your head, but really what it is for your mind. It draws your mind out of other things and says, oh, my hand, there it is, I'm looking at it now, right? And then dharana, which is contemplation. Oh yeah, so if you can't concentrate, it usually means that you're not withdrawing your senses, right? If you are looking at the girl, you're not concentrating on what you're doing.
Right.
So you concentrate and then you contemplate. What does contemplation mean? Well, it means I'm looking at my hand. Am I looking at my hand? What does my body feel like when I'm looking at my hand? Does that make any sense? Kind of a review. The contemplation is like a review. Am I in my posture? Am I breathing? Am I withdrawing my senses? Am I concentrating? Contemplating? And then you achieve something called samadhi. And samadhi is that good thing that we talked about.
Yeah.
The problem is when you feel it, you try to capture it, and it runs away because everything else that you did went away. When you go reaching for something or grasping for it, you're no longer practicing the yoga. You're practicing attachment or trying to achieve that outcome. And so, well, that sounds a little heady and funky. The truth is, when you do anything, you practice all of those limbs. When you get into your car, you sit down. That's your asana. You breathe, because if you don't, you're going to die. Right? You got to breathe. Then you withdraw the senses enough so that you can actually put the key into the ignition and start the car. That's your concentration and your contemplation. Car is now started. Right? Then you put it into gear and you drive away. Samadhi. You have merged with the car. Now you can drive it. Right?
It's only, what, 4 or 5? That's only 5?
What?
You said there's 8?
There are 8, but the first 2...
Oh, the first...
Yeah, the first 2 limbs, they are called the yamas and the niyamas. And the reason I didn't talk about them too much is because a lot of times people think the objective is the yamas and the niyamas.
These are the 10 commandments.
The 2, well, they're kind of like 10 commandments. The first is to do no harm to self or others in thought or action. The second, and they have 5 each, okay?
Okay.
One is what you do towards others, the first. The other is what you do for yourself.
Okay.
So, essentially...
The third is the celibacy one?
No, the third of the... Okay.
Am I screwing up lists?
Well, the problem is that the first two each have 5. And then the third is the asana, the posture.
Oh, the third is the posture, then the fourth is the breathing, and then
Exactly.
the fifth is the... let me see if I got this, John. Then the fifth is the withdrawal, and then the sixth is the concentration, and then the seventh is the contemplation.
Yep.
And then the eighth is the merge.
Smoking, you got it. That's exactly right.
Okay, cool. Let's move on. Let's check out your video a little bit so people can see what you're made of. Got a little YouTube action here, but we can definitely talk, and that'll be available for the viewers. But this is Chris at a. Is this some promotional video for Eric's Bike Shop?
It's a promotional video for the bike fitting at Eric's Bike Shop.
Okay, and here you are, Chris Balser. Very nice. And here you are in action.
Doing some postures and...
This is this classic yoga postures, right? Or stretches, or...
Based on the vinyasa flow. It's based on vinyasa yoga. But
There's a lot of movement. I mean, there isn't a... Ordinarily, would you have held those postures longer?
Well, some movements you move through and some movements you hold. They would say that the yoga occurs in the movement and also in the stillness.
All right.
Depending on what you choose to do.
Right on, right on.
But,
and this is about you helping fit someone for a bicycle properly.
Exactly.
Is that still what you do, or?
That is what I do. This is the other job that I do. I do this on top of the teaching the yoga. And
okay.
The reason that we're showing the videos because it's they're related to each other. Nobody really knows how comfortable they can be on a bicycle because nobody's ever been fit. If you've not, well, let me rephrase that. If you haven't been fit, you don't know how comfortable you can be on a bicycle.
And
the truth is,
hold on, what's this one?
Look at that. They make it into a bicycle. Isn't that cool? And there's a person on a bike. Crazy, huh?
Well, it like I said at the beginning of the show, it brings together 2 activities Twin Cities residents love to do, and that's yoga and biking.
Yep.
And you seem to be a wonderful merger of that.
I try to help people find it. I try to help.
You could consult and do a business just devoted to that.
Well, I'm grateful that Eric allows me to have the space and to do my fitting there. And essentially, I don't have any real answers. I just try to make people comfortable on their bikes, and that is and I do that by reducing the amount of friction between them and that event. People think that in yoga, for instance, that you get flexible by stretching. Physiologically, if you stretch a muscle, it pulls back. You pull a muscle, it's going to pull back. Your nervous system says, danger, danger, make me short and strong. So it pulls back. Our connective tissue stretches. Connective tissue is called connective tissue because it connects us. We need it. It's good, right? Flexibility has nothing to do with yoga. Yoga has to do with moving into a posture and trying to coordinate the movement in such a way that it's correct for you. Coordination of movement is the difficulty, and that's what requires the breathing, the concentration, the contemplation, all the things that I talked about. So that is where the difficulty is.
It strengthens concentration, contemplation, because it's a challenge.
Excellent.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Brennan.
Thank you very much.
Very much.
And thank you at home for watching the show tonight. I hope next time we can get together and learn a little bit about the people that live in and around the city of Minneapolis. Thanks for watching Minneapolis Expression.